guys. So after surviving our little sea expedition there, we find ourselves beached. As we can see, we have no way of actually moving. If we punch the cage, nothing seems to work. But there's a stick here. With the stick, we can crack open the cage. Now, I'm actually a fan of this cage. Not because it's a bunch of bars, but because when it's closed, reclose it. When it's closed, you have to pick it up. You have to pick up the item and realize that you can pick up items to be able to open the gate in the very first place. So that's actually quite a nice little design choice by I believe it's Almost Human. I haven't actually looked it up yet. Pretty sure it's on the title screen and there's somebody out there who's like, dude, you're an idiot. Seriously. It was on the cinematics. But, yeah, what am I going to do? Yeah. So, as with the previous Legend of Grimrock, I kind of want to explore everywhere. Even in the starting area, there can be secrets. As we found in Legend of Grimrock 1, there is a secret in the very first area. Now, there's a new sort of mechanic here, and that is each of the races, except for foxes, sort of has their own desired food source. Now, Minotaurs don't really have one. They have the Headhunter trait. They really don't care what they eat. However, lizardmen like eating eggs, insects, insectoids, they like eating fruit, horned fruit specifically, and ratlings like eating cheese. And when you eat a bunch of those, it gives you a stat increase of some sort. It makes them rather happy. It also plays like a cute little sound effect too. It's adorable. Especially with the ratlings. They're just like this little squeak, and it's so adorable. Okay, so as with Grimrock 1, when you throw an item, if you walk over it, the character will pick it up. And as I said last time, but not in this video, you have 2 sets of hand slots. I'm not entirely sure how Fox has hand slots, but hey, we'll run with it. And what we can do here is, we could have, say, throwing daggers and, say, throwing axes, as well as, say, shurikens and darts. It basically gives us more options on how we want to play the game. So here we have a tortoise here, and I believe his entire job is just to introduce us to the combat system. So as we saw in Grimrock 1, most enemies are rather susceptible to just circle strafing them to death. Now we're sort of getting dividends from the idea of throwing stuff at the enemy already. As we can see, we're doing a lot of damage with our rock that we're throwing at enemies. We're also doing a lot of damage with our heavy weapon and our club. But Fen Lynn isn't quite doing anything with his magic, because we haven't found any spell scrolls. Now, last time I found out that you can indeed cast spells without having found the scroll in this game. I'm not going to do an example quite yet, because I don't want to, say, ruin it. It's very easy to look up the spells in this game. Now that might be by design, it might also be to allow veteran players to make the game quite a bit easier. If you have 4 battle mages, and you make them all proficient with the core elements, they can more or less just blow everything up. No problem. It lets you make all of the mages viable right from the start. So let's go ahead and get into it. As we see, we have a tortoise egg here. For us, it's really just food, but for a different character, it would be something quite a bit more. For Lizardman, is a potential health increase. So we don't want to get cornered here, so we're going to go ahead and just pound on these guys. Unlike the rock, the dart sticks inside the enemy's body, meaning that basically we can kill enemies rather easily. As you can see, already having a ton of strength is paying off for our throwing weapon character. Okay, very good. Now, I don't know all the secrets in this game. I do know some of them, but I know that here's a key. Since Fen Lynn isn't doing anything right now, we'll just give him a key to hold. And we'll look for any kind of herbs we can pick up. Remember, you always want to give herbs to your alchemist, because basically they enable him to... Herbs in an alchemist's inventory multiply based on the number of steps that alchemist has taken. You always want to try and clear out any kind of shrubs. There might be something hidden behind it. Might also open up a shortcut of some sort. So here, if you haven't picked up the key, you can't open this in any way, shape, or form. We have the key, but I want to go pick something up first. It's not hidden from you expertly, but you'll notice you can go a little bit further out into the water than you could in the previous area. There's also an herb back here, which encourages you to come back here. Here we see a chest. In this chest are some shoes and a torch. Now, we typically want to give torches to characters that that have a lot of strength, because they tend to do more damage on those characters. If we look here, we can see it does 2 to 6 plus strength fire damage, meaning that it's going to do quite a bit more damage on our fighter here. It actually does the same amount of damage as his bone club, so we'll go ahead and give him both of them for now. And we will open this gate. Now here's our first puzzle of the game. We're gradually finding clothes to give to our protection fighter. Our prot paladin. And basically how this particular puzzle works is, when you click here, nothing seems to happen. When you click here, the gate opens. But when you click here, the gate closes. How you defeat this is if you hold down this pressure plate, it can't close. Hence we're able to move forward. Now this game is scattered with letters. So we'll go ahead and give the letters to Fen Lynn because they don't really weigh anything. And we seem to have a letter from the Island Master. Dear visitor, welcome to my island. I hope your journey was not too detrimental to your health. I think you will find this island to be most wonderful, yet the most perilous place on Earth. I don't have high hopes for your survival, but maybe you can prove me wrong. Better equip yourself before the night falls. The Island Master. Now this seems really sort of ominous, because it sort of is, but isn't that big of a deal, really. He's basically just saying, hey, you know, be ready to deal with the fights that are coming. Okay, so these guys seem to be either getting more hit points, or they just... or the RNG for weapon damage just wasn't there. So here we find a Zafi robe, I believe that's how it's pronounced. It gives slightly better protection, so we're going to go ahead and give the tattered shirt to our robe. And here's where we find our next set of throwing weapons. This sort of follows the idea that there's a difference between rocks and throwing weapons, and that rocks are more of just your universal, you can do all kinds of things with them. Now, as we know, we have a Earth, Water, and Poison Mage. We don't have a Fire Mage. If I try to use Fire Magic, it will just automatically fail. But we'll keep it just to keep it for now. And we will try to work our way forward. So there's some brush there. We don't know for what. We see a statue. So we'll go ahead and label this statue, say exclamation point, sort of Greek statue. Okay, so we have a Greek statue there. I believe crystals are they marked on the map? Yes, they are, if you walk up to them. Crystal of Life. Touch to heal wounds and restore dead champions back to life. Beware, its power needs time to recharge. So if I was to say that, if I was to suggest realism to this game, I would say that the true mode to play this game on is probably Iron Man mode, single-use crystals. I'd assert that is the way you're supposed to play this game. If you want the authentic challenge, if there's such a thing. And the reason I say that is that the idea of resurrection is quite, extreme. Most people don't die and then come back from the dead. So here we don't know what we're supposed to do. We can step on everything and nothing seems to happen. So let's look at our prompt here. X marks the spot. So we've stepped here and nothing's happened. So this tells us that there has to be something more to this puzzle. Perhaps if we put random things, such as our Fireburst scroll that we can't use, and make an X shape, maybe things open up permanently, which they have. Now, of course, you don't need to actually keep things on there afterwards, so we will go ahead and take all that back now. Let's go ahead and move forward. Hints: if you need to review the tutorial hints, you can read them from the pause menu. So we haven't saved yet, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and make our first save of this game. The previous save that you see here for Let's Play is actually the original group. We're going to go ahead and override that. Call that 1. And the game does take a few seconds to save as opposed to the previous Legend of Grimrock. That's just how that is. So here we see our first enemy. And he tends to surprise people. So one of the nice parts about this game is that the enemies, they tend to have more diverse movesets as opposed to just having a single attack that they do over and over. This guy's playing really defensively as opposed to trying to attack us. Not entirely sure why he's being so defensive. I mean, well, he is fighting against 4 people. That would be a good reason to be defensive. But and already you see he's sort of giving us a good run for our money. We're not doing a whole lot of damage to him. Yeah, but he's doing quite a bit of damage to us. Sort of collecting our rocks here. Okay, so he needs to die, he needs to die, basically. Okay, very good, finally. So we'll go ahead and collect our darts here.